In this video, we're going to introduce and examine the factor theorem for polynomials. Now, the official definition for the factor theorem says that the binomial x minus a is a factor of the polynomial f of x if and only if f of a equals 0. Now, what does this mean? This means that if you want to determine if a binomial is a factor, what you do is if you were to plug in the a value into the function, because remember this is function notation, and for function notation, it's a way to substitute in a value. If you were to plug in the a value into the function, you should get 0. So if you get 0 when you plug in that a value, that's telling you the binomial is a factor. So let's look at some examples to help this understanding. So I'm asking, is x minus 3 a factor of f of x equals x squared minus 2x minus 3? So here's what I do. I first determine, what's my a value, and this is very similar to how we did it with synthetic division. X minus 3, your a, what you're trying to plug in is going to be 3. And so what I'm going to do is I am just going to plug 3 into my function for x. So I have x squared, so 3 squared, minus 2x, so minus 2 times 3, minus 3. If this binomial is a factor, then after I perform order of operations here, I should get 0. So let's see, 3 squared is 9. Negative 2 times 3 is negative 6, minus 3. 9 minus 6 minus 3 is 0. So is x minus 3 a factor of the function? And the answer is yes. When I plug in the solution to the binomial, when I plug in x equals 3, I do get 0. So therefore it is a factor. And we can try it again for this one. Is x plus 5 a factor of 2x cubed minus 5x plus 20? Same idea. First, look at your binomial. Here, I'm going to use negative 5. So I have 2 times x cubed. So 2 times negative 5 cubed minus 5x. So 5 times negative 5 plus 20. If the binomial x plus 5 is a factor, after order of operations, this number should be 0. Well, negative 5 cubed is negative 125. Negative 5 is positive 25, and I have positive 20. So I have negative 250 plus 25 plus 20. And that's going to give me negative 205. So negative 205, that's not 0. So is x plus 5 a factor of 2x cubed minus 5x plus 20? The answer is no. It is not a factor. So it's that simple. That's what the factor theorem says, is that if a binomial is a factor, if you plug in the solution to the binomial to the function, you should get 0. If you get 0, then it is a factor. If you don't get 0, then it's not a factor. So let's try these two on your own problems. For here, I encourage you to pause the video at this point, try these problems, see how you do, restart the video, and check your answers. So for number 1, is x minus 5 a factor of x squared minus 3x minus 10? So first thing is look at what the solution to the binomial is. That's x equals 5. And that's when I'm going to plug into my function. So I have x squared, so I have 5 squared minus 3x, so minus 3 times 5 minus 10. I get 25 minus 15 minus 10, which is going to give me 25 minus 15 is 10, minus 10 is 0. Since I get 0 when I plug in the solution to the binomial, that tells me that yes, x minus 5 is a factor. And we could do the same thing for number 2. Is x plus 3 a factor of x squared plus 5x plus 4? So the solution to x plus 3, that binomial, is x is negative 3. I'm going to plug negative 3 in for x, so I get negative 3 squared plus 5 times negative 3 plus 4. That gives me 9 minus 15 plus 4. 9 minus 15 is negative 6, plus 4 is negative 2. So when I plug in the solution to the binomial, I get negative 2. That's not 0. So that tells me right away that no, x plus 3, that binomial, is not a factor. Now we're going to examine this idea further on in some future videos, but just get this concept down that if you want to determine if a binomial is a factor, take the solution of the binomial and plug it in the function. After performing order of operations, if you get 0, it is a factor. If you don't get 0, then it is not a factor.